June 9th, 2014, Rock Creek, Nebraska, United States. Detective Richard Taylor's exited his cruiser. The bright flashing red and blue illuminated the dark night sky. A crow cawed on a dead tree. In a truly morbid sight to beset, he'd arrived at a crime scene on top of the top floor of the Rock Creek apartments. It was the suicide of 24-year-old Benjamin Burns. Burns was still living in his room when he ended it all. Once he had finally reached the top, Taylor's ordered the other officers to leave so he could investigate. He was assisted by his partner, Jameson Lowe. They both looked around. Lowe looked at the way the blood splattered on the wall. Books were all over the ground. Burns's body lay on the floor with the tarp of his figure. Taylor was skeptical of the story as he removed the tarp. The slice on Burns' neck looked hard to replicate. Lowe pointed out a stool on the ground. It looked like Burns got tripped on the stool and then he sliced himself. It didn't make sense to Taylor's. Burns' death looked less like a suicide and more like a homicide the longer Lowe and Taylor's investigated. Taylor's looked at Burns closer. He saw that Burns had been stabbed an extra 28 times. Taylor's reconstructed the scene. Bloody footprints led out of the kitchen. Taylor's went in and saw the window wide open. He also saw kitchen knives scattered across the floor, and a chair was knocked off. Taylor's figured it out. The killer snuck in through the window. When Burns saw them, he went for a knife, but the killer interfered, causing the knives to scatter on the floor. Burns then tried using a chair for possible defense, but the killer grabbed a knife and stabbed Burns. The scuffle continued, pushing Burns into the living room, the killer still stabbing him. Burns tripped onto a stool, causing him to fall. He must have grabbed a bookshelf to keep himself up and knocked the books over. He noted the bloody handprints on the books, supporting his theory. The killer then likely slit Burns' throat, and the blood splattered on the wall. With all the pieces falling in place, Lowe asked if they could talk on the balcony. When they got outside, Taylor's noticed the scuffing on the railing. It was how the killer escaped. They jumped down slowly on each balcony. While Taylor's talked, Lowe stood quietly, eventually backing up a bit. Taylor's barely heard Lowe's gun get cocked. Taylor's quickly turned around and pushed Lowe's arm up. A gunshot ruptured the quiet night in Rock Creek. Taylor's then pushed Lowe onto the railing, causing the gun to fall. Lowe charged Taylor's, crashing through the sliding glass door. Glass shards covered Taylor's as he got up and threw Lowe onto the couch. Lowe rolled off and lifted the couch, tossing it straight at Taylor's. Lowe made a break for the front door. Taylor's grabbed a potted plant and threw it at Lowe. While missing, dirt did get tracked onto Lowe. Taylor's dashed out of the apartment, pulled out his gun, and shot Lowe in the leg. Awoken residents watched in disbelief as Lowe limped for the stairwell, Taylor's following in pursuit. Lowe made it to the edge of the stairs as Taylor's tackled Lowe, causing both to tumble down the stairs. Lowe kicked Taylor's in defense, causing his mouth to bleed. Taylor's grabbed a fire extinguisher and tossed it, hitting Lowe square in the head. As both sloppily tumbled down the second set of stairs, both slowly became exhausted with each other, barely able to fight. In a desperate second bid for freedom, Lowe kicked Taylor's in the jaw, incapacitating Taylor's at the front entrance. As Lowe ran out, seemingly free, Taylor's was on the last bit of his life he had. He used the last of his energy to lift his arm up and cock his gun, shooting Lowe in the back. Both detectives bled out that night. And in the quiet nights of Rock Creek, everyone remembered what it was like that poor, fateful night.